Canine Longevity is presented by MYOS Pet, the leaders in pet muscle health.
Hi, meet Ollie. He was 12 years old. He is my heart dog. I am a board-certified veterinarian, boarded in sports medicine and rehab, and as he got older, I watched him slow down, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't figure out the best way to help him have the longest, healthiest life. I did all the research, I did his exercises twice a day, I fed him the right foods, and I finally found a way to put 2 more years of incredible life into him, and I want to share that with you. Hi, welcome to Canine Longevity. This is a very special edition. I'm Dr. Laurie McCauley, and today we're diving into a topic that's been one of the most overlooked factors in helping our dogs live longer, healthier, happier lives: muscle health. When most parents think about longevity, they think about nutrition, supplements, exercise, vaccines, disease prevention. But what they don't realize is that healthy muscle is one of the strongest predictors of quality of life of our dogs as they age. Muscle isn't just about strength. It's about mobility. It's about metabolism. It helps our immune system. It's about resilience and the ability to enjoy life. Today, we're exploring groundbreaking research that is changing how veterinarians think about aging and longevity. We're going to discuss Fortetropin, the science behind MYOS, and why preserving muscle may be one of the key factors to improving health span and lifespan. Joining me is Joe Mannello. He is the CEO of MYOS Corp. Joe has been at the forefront of bringing this innovative research to veterinarians and pet owners worldwide. Welcome to Canine Longevity, Joe.
Thank you, Laurie.
Before we get started and get into serious discussions, I want to share Ollie's story with everyone. So here's Ollie. At 12 years old, you can see him sit up and bag. I had to hold on to one of his feet. He was, oh, there you go, falling over. When I asked him to sit up without holding one of his feet, he would hold it for just a little bit, boom, and fall over. I called up MYOS and said, hey, can you give me some product and let me try with Ollie? And there he is, 16 weeks later, not only able to sit up and bag, but he was able to do high fives, which is changing his center of gravity. It's so much harder to do that. And I am so excited to introduce you guys to Joe. So I have lots of questions for you, Joe. So many dogs begin losing muscle mass before their owners even realize it's happening. When most people hear the word muscle, they think about like athletes, right? Why should pet parents think about muscle when they think about longevity?
I think they should think about it as they would think about it for themselves. The more muscle you keep, there's a direct link between good, healthy muscle and longevity. There's a lot of science out there. And the idea, if you start working on your muscle early, later in life, you won't have to work so hard.
Yeah, right. Peter Attia, right? He talks about the 4 horsemen of death and how exercise and building muscle is the one that helps all 4 of those for longevity for humans. I truly believe it's the same as in people as in dogs. So can you tell me what happens to a dog's body as their muscle mass begins to decrease?
Well, again, look at ourselves as we age. If we don't have muscle, our joints hurt. We tend, muscle weighs more than fat, but we tend, if we lose muscle, our metabolism slows and we gain more weight or really more fat. And, so think about it this way: decrease muscle, increase fat. And that's not a good thing.
No, because the muscle uses almost as much glucose as the brain does, right? And so when we lose muscle, we have the same amount of glucose coming in, right, when we eat our food, but instead of being able to use it, it turns into fat. So you're spot on with that. So why is muscle considered the key organ system for healthy aging?
Muscle contraction just decreases inflammation. You get inflammation, is what drives aging.
Yeah.
You can track your muscles, you use your muscles, you do resistance training, you help build your muscle or repair your muscle or maintain muscle. It will help you age better.
Mhm.
Have what they call today health span.
Yes. Do you want to define health span for me real quick?
It's just, we're so everyone's talking about longevity, right?
Mhm.
Living longer. But if you're going to live longer and you're not going to be healthy, what is the point? So the idea of health span is potentially even living longer, but the life you have can be active. You can still do the things you want to do, not fall.
Right.
And for our pets, it's being playful, being puppy-like, running, walking. So it's very similar. So that's what health span is.
Excellent, excellent. So can you tell me, are there certain breeds or age groups that are more likely to lose muscle?
Just think about it this way. Large breeds age quicker. Their lifespan is shorter. So they're going to lose muscle earlier. And smaller breeds have a longer lifespan. So they're going to lose muscle later on in life. But that we all start at mid-age. Think of the athletes.
Yeah.
Why aren't there athletes playing basketball or baseball or hockey in their 50s and 60s? Because they start losing muscle. And they start losing muscle in their 30s and 40s. And it progressively gets worse. And we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, how true. I recently saw a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I think of him, right, as a Terminator, this big guy. And I'm sure he still works out a lot, but you see how much he has shrunk just to sarcopenia from losing muscle just from aging. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. So, tell me, what are some early warning signs that a pet parent would be able to look for to know if their pet is losing muscle or maybe not as active?
Just look at, do they hesitate to go up the stairs? Are they less willing to jump on a couch or a bed? Are they not coming to the door when you come home? Just are they not watching you? Are they not moving, just moving their eyes, but not following you everywhere? Look for signs and you'll see it. They'll look like, and you'll turn and you'll say, wow, Augie's getting a little old. And, but part of it is Augie's just losing muscle
Yeah.
and he's getting old,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah, we're always looking for quality of life into the end, right?
we are.
We are. So we spent decades focusing on disease management in veterinary medicine. Now we're learning how important proactive muscle preservation can be. Can you tell me, why has muscle health historically been overlooked in veterinary medicine?
I think it's been overlooked in veterinary medicine and human medicine. How many times do we go to our doctor and they say, you could lose 10 pounds? Rarely, and it's starting to change, do they say, you should lose 10 pounds, but you really need to increase muscle. You're starting to lose muscle.
Yeah.
And it's the same with pets. And you went to vet school. How many courses did they have on muscle?
Well, we learned in surgery how to cut it,
Yeah.
and we learned, that it uses up the glucose, but certainly not how to increase it, right?
Yeah, it's always the symptom.
Right.
It's how we prevent it. And it's starting to get better. People are starting to think about muscle more, and they should. And as we think about muscle health for ourselves, we're naturally going to think about it for our pets.
Absolutely. It's like the silver sneakers for pets, right? Get everybody
Yes.
moving and better quality of life. Awesome. So why do you believe muscle preservation may be one of the biggest opportunities in extending canine health span?
Because there's just so much science around and muscle health and less disease, muscle health and longevity. There's human studies, there's dog studies, and it's common sense. Just think about it. If you have more muscle, you're going to want to move more. You want to move more. Your fluids, everything's going to move around more. And it's just, there's been people talking about muscle back into the 50s and 60s. You had Jack LaLanne. Now it's Peter Attia. But most people didn't pay attention to it. And we thought aerobics. Remember, for years, it was jogging, running, don't focus on muscle. Now suddenly, everyone's starting to get it. Keep muscle strength as well as cardio.
Yeah, how true. How very true. Right. And you think about like even stiffness, right? The dogs who lay around all day, they get up just like us. If we're stuck in an airplane or a car for hours on end, you're going to be stiff. And if you've got more muscle and more movement, then you're like, all right, let's get up, let's go have fun. Awesome.
That's right.
So tell me, how does maintaining muscle help support independence and mobility in our senior dogs?
Um, you know, when they have more muscle, they're going to move more. They're going to be out playing more. It's a cycle, and the fact that they have muscle, or they're maintaining muscle, they'll move more. As muscle decreases, you get fat depositive, and it becomes this downward spiral. But if you have muscle, it's this upward spiral. They want to go out and play. That helps them, gives them energy, helps them build more muscle. And the other one is, like I said, a downward spiral. And you want to avoid that.
Right.
And you see it all the time in dogs and cats,
And people.
horses, and us.
Yeah, right.
So it's really powerful.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody listening can think of one older person that they know that is active into their 70s and 80s and maybe even into their 90s. And also somebody who's like sits and watches TV all day and how they don't have the energy to get up and move. And it's which life do we want for our dog, right? I want
Yeah.
my dog to be doing zoomies at 16.
If you look at people in Europe, they walk all the time, and they have tremendous longevity. They have great diets, but they're walking, they're moving, and movement begets more movement. And if you don't, it goes the other way. So it's really important. So you have to maintain muscle.
Canine Longevity is presented by MYOS Pet, the leaders in pet muscle health.
As dogs age, muscle loss can quietly steal mobility and quality of life. But what if science could help change that? MYOS Muscle Formula with Fortetropin is an all-natural, science-backed ingredient shown to help build and maintain muscle while reducing muscle breakdown, with over a decade of research and real results. Because stronger muscles means more moments together. MYOS, more time together.
So can you tell us how muscle loss affects recovery from like injury or illness or surgery?
Well, when you're injured, your muscles atrophy.
Yeah.
When you have surgery, you're not moving. And if you don't take care of the muscle, and the chances of relapse are higher, more injuries, more pain. So if you can recover from injury quicker and get back to moving and get back to exercising and get back to resistance training, the chances of a relapse are lower. The chances of further injuries, more pain, are lower. So you want to do whatever you can to recover. Years ago, when there was knee surgery, they said sit, for 2-3 months. And so it was done out of Vail, Colorado for skiing accidents. What they saw was half their patients were getting better, half weren't. And what they found is the patients who were getting better quicker were cheating. They weren't listening to the doctor. They were actually, well, doctor, I live, on 3 stories up, or I have to go to work. And what they found is the ones who were cheating or not listening, who were moving, were actually getting better faster. Why? Because their muscles were getting stronger.
Absolutely. I was listening to some research with Keith Barr out of University of Davis, and he was talking about how laying in bed for, I think it was just like 3 to 5 days, decreased tendon strength by 10%, which is crazy, right? And we don't want those injuries. We want our dogs up and moving. So tell me, what have veterinarians learned in the recent years that have changed how we look at things?
I think veterinarians now are starting to focus on muscle, and that they're starting. We have over 3,000 veterinarians using Fortetropin, using MYOS canine muscle formula, et cetera, because they're addressing muscle. And you address muscle, surgery, illness, just aging. There's so many areas to address muscle, and veterinarians, I think, are starting to address it even more than I see physicians address it. So I think it's great. And they believe that addressing muscle will increase health span, let a dog, a cat, a horse live a longer, happier life.
How true, right? We think about our farm dogs that live like forever, so much longer because they're out running on the farm and keeping strong. And I'm so excited that you brought up the topic of MYOS and myostatin. So myostatin is the body's natural regulator for muscle growth. And Fortetropin helps support healthy muscle maintenance by influencing the pathway. So tell me a little bit about MYOS, how it came to exist, where the idea came from, and all of that.
So it was started by scientists and physicians who believed that muscle health, muscle maintenance, muscle building was important.
Mhm.
They were, and they wanted to address it, and they wanted to come up with a natural product to address it. They did a lot of lab work, and they thought there was something unique in fertile egg yolk. And under microscopes and everything, they thought that there's some unique compounds in there that could support muscle health. And now, 15 years later, we have 16 studies, animals, pets, humans, in petri dishes, and it's playing out their hypothesis of what they believed. And it was just an hypothesis. I can't even say it. An hypothesis, then hypothesis. You can see I'm not a scientist. And but and now it's proving out in science. They thought it would, but they weren't sure.
Awesome. So what exactly is Fortetropin? I know when I work out in the beginning, before I knew about MYOS and Fortetropin, I would take whey protein powder. I still do. But now I also take yoked, the human version of MYOS, which is what we give our dogs. How is that different from regular protein powder and other supplements that people take?
You need to have protein to build muscle.
Mhm.
It's very different protein you need to exercise, you need to work out. Um, Fortetropin does have amino acids in it, but it works differently. So think of it as you're building a house, and the bricks are the protein.
Mhm.
Uh, Fortetropin is the workers who are putting those bricks and saying where to put the bricks. So the bricks are sitting there. That's the protein. You need that. But Fortetropin is that signal that to tell you where to build those bricks. And so it works different, it's the construction crew. And we didn't know that in the beginning,
Mhm.
but Fortetropin has some protein in it, but that's not everything that is helping you build or maintain muscle. And I talk maintaining muscle, and we'll get more into that, but that's the key.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'd like to bring in myostatin. And can you tell me what's happening with myostatin? So myo, muscle, statin, stop. So what the chemical in our body that's released that stops our body from building muscle. What's happening with myostatin when Fortetropin is taken?
So myostatin is this brake on muscle, and you have to have myostatin in you, because if you didn't have myostatin, you just grow muscle, grow muscle. So, but when you get injured, myostatin increases. As you age, myostatin can increase. So, when you lift weights, you actually reduce myostatin, and Fortetropin has the same effect. It helps you reduce myostatin, and and that is really powerful. That is one of the effects. There's two real effects of Fortetropin that we know so far, and that it reduces myostatin or keeps it from going up with injury or surgery. And it increases muscle protein synthesis. So the fact that we can reduce myostatin really helps you not lose muscle. So it helps you maintain muscle, which is really key.
Yeah. All right. So if the future of longevity talks about measuring and protecting muscle health, and we want to measure that, kind of like we measure our weight, I want to talk about like the research that got us to where that is. So can you tell me about some of the research on Fortetropin and what it's shown?
Yes, I'll go. What is interesting about it, I think the thought was that Fortetropin was going to help you build muscle.
Mhm.
But what we discovered is that it not only increased muscle protein synthesis, but it helped reduce muscle breakdown.
Mm.
And that was very interesting. So what our science has shown is that it helps you maintain muscle and helps you reduce muscle atrophy. So if you look at the studies we have ones that's 60 to 75-year-old men and women. Um, they're losing a lot of muscle. And when you lose that muscle, what our product has shown, we did this study, is that you had an 18% increase in muscle protein synthesis, even without exercise.
That's
So
unbelievable.
it was an incredible study for us. And we see that in dogs also. They're losing muscle. So so these are the two aspects of it. It's reducing myostatin, but puts a lid on muscle, and it's increasing muscle protein synthesis. And it's and that study showed us that. We did another study. We've done two in dogs, one in cats, three in humans. So, and then a lot of other research in rodents and petri dishes, and we continue to do science. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. So I know when I called up MYOS and said, I want to know more about this product, and I don't know if it's the same now, but you guys were saying that you had one facility that did one process to it and another facility that did another, and then it had to get moved to another facility to do that so that it would become bioavailable. So people ingesting or animals ingesting it would be able to use it. Tell me about the challenge behind taking these fertilized egg yolk and making it into a product that is safe and efficacious for humans and animals.
so the challenge was, here are these scientists that came up with this idea using fertile egg yolks, but they were really looking to use parts of fertile egg yolk, not everything about fertile egg yolk, but they knew that heat and would potentially destroy what they thought was giving what could give the positive effect. So we spent quite a bit of time, quite a bit of money working with a food technology company to come up with a way to get rid of the bad stuff and hopefully keep the good stuff. Now we wouldn't know that until we did the science, but it's a process that we have patented.
Mhm.
In fact, we have 4 patents on it, and that process is, in layman's term, it doesn't destroy what's bioavailable in Fortetropin, what causes Fortetropin to do what it does, yet it gets rid of pathogens and anything else that could harm an animal or harm us. So that process, like I said, took a while to develop,
Mhm.
and and it's not simple. It's many different manufacturers that do it for us,
Mhm.
and we control that process, and our products tested along the way to make sure what we're expecting happens.
Mhm.
So it's been great. It's not simple. It's incredibly complicated, but it works.
Excellent. And I want people to hear heating it is a bad thing. So don't put it in your dog's food and then put hot water on top of it, because the heat itself can take away all of the bioavailability and the good effects. Is that correct?
Yes, it's really important. Our process can't be done with using heat. I don't recommend people heat it. I think the important thing, at ambient temperature, at room temperature, you're fine.
Mhm.
Heat just can destroy a lot. But once our process is done, it's a pretty strong and powerful product. So I'm less worried about that, but there's just no reason to do it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Awesome. So I love research, right? You know, I'm a nerd. I own that. I'm okay with it. I really want to talk about one of my favorite research projects that you guys did, because it's the one that turned my head, that made me think, huh, if this is real, this is amazing. It's the one from Kansas State. Will you go through exactly what you guys did? Because I think it's an amazing study, and tell everybody what you found.
Sure, this was our first animal or pet study that we did. And we took a big chance because there were 100 dogs, 50 on a placebo, 50 on Fortetropin, and I think it was 35 or 40 different breeds. And this is from pet parents bringing their dogs into the vet school at the vet hospital at Kansas State University, and they needed TPLO surgery. TPLO surgery is similar to ACL surgery in humans. So it's around their ligament. And so they are going to have this surgery and then be immobilized for 8 weeks. They can't do anything. And what they found, again, 50 with Fortetropin, 50 on a placebo, double blind, meaning the professors there did not know which dogs were on which. Um, they found that in that 8 week period, the dogs that were on Fortetropin had less muscle atrophy, and it was statistically significant.
Yeah.
And myostatin did not increase. It increased in the placebo group. So for that 8 week period, now remember, they're not exercising, they're doing nothing. Fortetropin helped them maintain their muscle. And that was really, really powerful for us. And that launched really our product in the vet community and to pet parents, because 100 dogs is a big study.
Mhm.
Two, 30 plus breeds.
Yeah.
Um, and uh, and it just showed that our product works. And because if it works under those conditions, think about all the other conditions it can work for to help maintain or build muscle.
Yeah. So we've talked about older age sarcopenia and losing muscle with atrophy, having muscle loss or atrophy from that. We've talked about if you have an injury like ACL or CCL injury, that it can help with that. I love the way you guys did that you measured the circumference, you measured the muscle thickness, you measured the myostatin. Like you said, that was a huge study for me, seeing 100 dogs in it, different breeds, looked at, the veterinarians didn't know who was on it, the clients didn't know who was on it. It was just an amazing study. I'm just going to pop in for a second and tell people my story of when I called MYOS. I hope that's okay. I,
It is.
I called you guys and I said, hey guys, I'm a boarded rehab veterinarian and I have a 12-year-old dog, and I know exactly what he does. I do exercises with him twice a day. I know exactly what he can do. If your product works, I want to tell people about it because it would be amazing, right? I'm a rehab vet. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. And I see these dogs as they get older and they get weaker, or they have surgery and they get weaker. If we can prevent that and turn it around, think about all the dogs, like you said, that had TPLO surgery, that instead of like getting off of their restriction and having all this atrophy and now this imbalance and we have to build it back up, that they start at ground zero and they just keep going. They heal so much faster. They get better. I'm like, send me, and I'm going to tell people, I used the vet card and I said, send me as much free product as you want. I won't tell anybody anything if it doesn't work, right? That's my integrity. But if it does work, I want to share. And in 12 weeks, we saw a huge difference in what Ali could do. And I was just so excited about that. And I just wanted to let people know that Ali was an amazing test model. And like I said, I had, after that, 2 more years. My Mastiff lived to be over 14, right? Which is just amazing. And I definitely think MYOS was part of that, keeping him strong and going longer. Okay, so
That's great, T.
yeah. So now if
That's great.
it is. It's a great story. And I see it with so many of my patients. Almost all of my dogs that have, I'm a rehab vet. So if they have an injury, if they have a surgery, if they have a degenerative change, I'm going to recommend MYOS for them. And to go from there, everybody who's like, wow, if this is good for my 10-year-old dog or my 7-year-old dog or my 15-year-old dog, I wonder if it could be good for me.
Canine Longevity is presented by MYOS Pet, the leaders in pet muscle health.
As dogs age, muscle loss can quietly steal mobility and quality of life. But what if science could help change that? MYOS Muscle Formula with Fortetropin is an all-natural, science-backed ingredient shown to help build and maintain muscle while reducing muscle breakdown, with over a decade of research and real results. Because stronger muscles means more moments together. MYOS, more time together.
Can you tell me the research that's been done on the human version, yoked, and who you would recommend it for?
Sure. We've done 3 human studies, one with resistance training, one a leg immobilization study similar to what we did with TPLO surgery, but in humans, and a third one, 60 to 75-year-old men and women. And again, we saw that it increased muscle protein synthesis, helped build muscle, but also helped reduce atrophy and maintain muscle. And what's interesting is we all watch athletes. And I was watching my Knicks last night in an incredible basketball game. But you question, why aren't athletes still playing in their 40s and 50s? And part of it is they're losing muscle. There's something called anabolic resistance. And as you age, protein doesn't work as well to build muscle. Resistance training doesn't work as well to build muscle. And what it looks like Fortetropin does is help that. So get back to the analogy of the house with the bricks. This house is now older and the bricks are falling off. So every day, 3 bricks are falling off that house. And that worker or workers you have can only get 2 bricks up each day. And that's what anabolic resistance, they're just not working as hard. What Fortetropin does is help those workers get those 3 bricks and maybe more up each day. So it helps reverse that. So we have a product Yoked, and it started out as a sports nutrition product, but now it's really grown in 40 and older female and males
Yep.
who want to stay active, who want to continue to play whatever sports or just be active, and they care about it for health span. So it went from, we have colleges, we still do have colleges, and we still do have athletes taking it.
Uh-huh.
That brand now is growing in middle age and older females and males. So it's been a shift, and it's been a really, really good shift for us. And that's because of the science behind it, and that population sees it work and make a big difference to them because they're losing muscle.
Yeah, we see it. I'm getting older and I see a difference in me. I can even tell you when I broke my fibula and I had to be non-weight bearing for 8 weeks, I watched my leg muscle get smaller and I'm like, duh, why aren't I on the human product? So I'm gonna tell a little, I actually took my dog's MYOS for a while before I learned about the human product, and then I got on the Yoked. But I saw the muscle come back before I was even weight bearing. The muscle came back, which just again blew me away. So from there, I have to ask Joe,
Yes.
could somebody potentially take their dog's MYOS? What's the difference between MYOS and Yoked?
Um, One, they're very similar.
Mhm.
They're all Fortetropin. Yoked goes through one next step. It's NSF certified for sport, and it goes through another. We test all these products along our process,
Mhm.
uh, but Yoked has one more step, and it's considered human grade
Mhm.
versus animal grade. Um, I don't take the pet product, but the product doesn't cost me a lot. So, but it's just one more step of making sure it's safe.
Well, and I'll add to that. It also the Yoked tastes better, right? So when I take my Yoked, it reminds me of a vanilla, like a yellow cupcake. So it's like, ooh, I get to take my Yoked.
Uh,
Whereas my dog is really happy about eating the MYOS, and I used to have to put that in my smoothies.
I like the yolk because I think it tastes like cake batter.
Yeah.
I really think it's great. But like I said, I get it at a good price.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right. So we've talked about Yoked. We've talked about MYOS. Um, Tell me, like, you said you've got 3,000 veterinarians that are now recommending and selling MYOS to their clients. Tell me about the response that you see from the vet community. When you guys, I know you guys go to shows where you talk to veterinarians. What are the things you hear from the veterinarians?
Well, first you should know, Lori, that our biggest vets that promote the product are rehab vets, um, agility vets,
Mhm.
canine working dog vets. And why is it that group? And rehab is clearly the largest, is because they know muscle and they see the effect. Vets, uh, they it's incredible what the testimonials we get for them, what they're seeing in older dogs, what they're seeing in dogs for prevention, what they're seeing with dogs after surgery, or what they're seeing in dogs that are going through PT, recovering from either surgery or injury. And remember, TPLO surgery, probably only 20% get the surgery because it's so expensive. A lot of them will put a brace on it. And what does that cause? That causes more atrophy. So you want to be taking Fortetropin, or MYOS canine or feline or equine muscle formula to help less atrophy. So the vets use it. There's numerous, we also did a cat study in chronic kidney disease. And those cats, was stage 2 and 3 chronic kidney disease. They can't get in a lot of protein because it damages their kidney.
Right.
So we wanted to see if we'd already done a study to make sure it was safe and tolerable in cats. So this was a study to see if it hurt their kidneys. And it was just the opposite. It had zero effect on hurting their kidneys, but it helped them either increase or maintain muscle, which will help, hopefully, with them having a better life. And so vets are using it in a lot of different protocols. We now have 5 protocols of different areas vets can go and recommend MYOS to their pet parents. So it's been great, and the vet community is so enjoyable to work with. They are passionate. Uh, they spend more time with with the pets than I think doctors spend with humans.
Yep. Yep. I can't tell you how many people I've had say, Doc, if I get on the floor and bark, will you treat me too? I'm like, no, I don't do humans. But yeah, I mean, it's our passion, right? Veterinarians get into it, not for the money, but because we love the animals and we want to help them and constantly learning on how we can do better. That's why we have continuing education so that we can learn what's out there and how we can help our patients more.
It's just a different community. It's great.
Yep. I do want to go to, I know this is canine longevity, but you're right. The cat study is so important. I was shocked when I realized that, what was it, 95% of the cats either maintained weight or gained weight, and the average weight gain was 2 pounds per cat in 12 weeks. So if people don't understand canine kidney disease, what happens is the cats, they can't eat the protein. So they slowly lose. And if you look pictures of like healthy cats and then stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and then they pass, and you can actually watch their bodies just shrink. So to take a 6-pound cat and make it an 8-pound cat, or an 8-pound cat and make it a 10-pound cat is huge. And with hopes, will significantly increase their longevity. So I am so excited that you guys did that study, found that, and can help so many cats.
Yeah, I just want to make a statement. I don't want anyone to think that it will cure
Right.
chronic kidney disease. Fortetropin doesn't cure disease.
No.
It helps you maintain muscle, increase muscle, have less muscle atrophy. It works on muscle. And muscle with a healthy or unhealthy pet, having better muscle just improves their quality of life.
All about quality of life. Okay, so we talked a little bit about nutrition, exercise, muscle support, veterinary monitoring. If I was a veterinarian listening to this, which I guess in a way I am, can you tell me what dogs would be the ideal candidates for this muscle support program?
I would start a dog on Fortetropin mid-age. Just like you want to be working on your muscles in your 40s and 50s or throughout your life, basically, but you don't want to wait till you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s. The same with a dog. Look at their lifespan, decide where is the mid-age level, and I would start putting them on Fortetropin or something to help their muscle. You don't want to wait until it gets chronic. It's so much easier to keep and maintain muscle than once you really start losing it. It takes so much more work to get it back, whether you're human, whether it's us, or whether it's pets. So that's one thing I would do. I would start them. Ask your vet, about your dog's, your cat muscle mass, and see what your cat, ask the vet what they think of the product. What do they think of the science? Have them call us if they have questions. But that's what I would do. I mean, my dog, Augie's been on it since he was 7. He's going to be 13. His lifespan's 10 to 14. He still runs, catches, fetches. Um, he can't hear, but he moves. Does he move, like it was 5 years ago? No, but we still have a blast. And that's what you want. And there's a lot of talk about joints, right? Joint supplements. Joint supplements are the biggest supplements. I think it's going to be $1 billion worldwide business. But if joints and arthritis, which is what joint supplements are supposed to attack, are important, all right? But think about muscle. We believe there should be a multimodal approach to arthritis. And so a joint supplement will work on the joints and try to get rid of that inflammation. But think of it this way. Think of the joints as tires. You get brand new tires, but think muscle surrounds that joint. And if that muscle's atrophy, that joint's not going to work as well. So think about it, these new tires, and if you don't have shock absorbers and the frame's all busted, those tires are going to wear out really quickly. So you need to build the muscle around the joint so you don't have that atrophy. And so that dog or cat is moving. And since they're moving, and what did we talk about in the beginning? Movement begets movement. Movement helps. And that's upward spiral rather than this downward spiral. So don't just address the joint, address muscle, and you can also address the joint.
Canine Longevity is presented by MYOS Pet, the leaders in pet muscle health.
As dogs age, muscle loss can quietly steal mobility and quality of life. But what if science could help change that? MYOS Muscle Formula with Fortetropin is an all-natural, science-backed ingredient shown to help build and maintain muscle while reducing muscle breakdown, with over a decade of research and real results. Because stronger muscles means more moments together. MYOS, more time together.
You guys have, and I hear this from clients all the time, you have MYOS, which is the muscle formula, and then you have Vet Strength. Can you tell me what the difference is and why somebody should choose one over the other?
Well, a pet parent can't buy the Vet Strength only through vets. We've added another ingredient into that. Fortetropin is in both. In the Vet Strength, we've added branched chain amino acids, and as a slight kicker that has some good science to it. So it's something unique. It's more expensive, but it's exclusively for vets. Both have Fortetropin. Both work really, really well. The Vet Strength will probably work a notch better.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so I know the pet parents that I've talked to have said, this is great. How long is it going to take before I see results?
That is a harder one. Remember, this is not something you take on a Wednesday and, oh, I forget to take it, and now I'll take it on. It builds in your system. But we find out, in studies we've done, talking to vets, talking to pet parents, seeing it ourselves, typically 3 to 4 weeks. Now, it can vary. Every animal is genetically different, just like we are. Weight can make a difference. But I think you can look to start seeing results around that 3 to 4 week. We've had other ones that's taken a couple of months, 2 to 4 months. It depends what's going on too. It depends how damaged the muscles are. It depends where they are at in their life cycle. But I think a rule of thumb is we tend to see results at 3 to 4 weeks. And as with everything, there's no guarantee.
Right.
I love people who put there, guaranteed to do this in 6 weeks. There's no guarantee. This product works. It works really well, but I'm not saying it's going to work with every animal.
Right.
I think I'd be lying.
Right. No, I love the point that you brought up that it's consistency is important. I remember reading one of the MYOS studies that was done at AMC where you tested a dog and you looked at their myostatin, and the myostatin dropped significantly with the biggest drop at 36 hours. And what I thought is, if this dog is taking it twice a day and they only got one dose, imagine, and their myostatin dropped that much 36 hours later, if they had had that dose, a second dose that day, and the next dose, right? So once it gets up to steady state in the body, it's going to have an even bigger effect. So for the people out there, this isn't something that you want to just give once a week, like you said. It's something you want to be, for the little guys, I know it's once a day, and I know Ollie was on the 2 scoops twice a day, and that made a huge difference for him.
Yeah, my dog's on 1 scoop twice a day because of his he's a mid-sized dog. But you need to be consistent. It's incredible. Uh, Dogs, cats, horses, people are way more consistent. They just put it in their food. The animals love it. Humans, they're on vacation, they're out, doing whatever. They tend to be less consistent. But it also works. But it is something that has to build in your system. Don't expect it's not an Advil that in 4 hours your headache's going to go away.
Right, right. I laugh that you say that because it's so true. I literally have to keep my supplements right next to my dog supplements because otherwise I would forget to take my supplements. I would never forget to give my dog his supplements, right? It's
Well,
not even an option.
the Augie has not missed Fortetropin in 6 years,
That's
but I've missed tons of things.
excellent. All right. So I know people are going to be asking their veterinarians about MYOS and muscle health and stuff like that. Are there any specific questions they should be asking their vet?
Yeah, ask them about when do they think their dog or cat is going to start losing muscle if they haven't already. Find out the lifespan. If there are some vets who are getting better using calipers, using different ways to test muscles for their animal, but and talk to them about Fortetropin. And like I said, um, they should ask questions. I think it's really important to be knowledgeable about muscle.
Mhm.
So talk to their vets about it. Do research yourself. But the rule of thumb is obviously if there's surgery or there's an illness or there's some reason that they're losing muscle, even obesity, if they're on a low caloric diet, they are going to lose muscle. And if they lose muscle, their metabolism will, I mean, if they lose muscle, their metabolism will slow and the weight loss will slow.
Mhm.
We did a study in rodents, in mice, having with GLP-1 drugs.
Mhm.
And the mice who were on GLP-1's drug lost muscle. The ones that were on GLP-1s and Fortetropin lost much less muscle and they were able to maintain muscle. So think about it with dogs. A lot of dogs are obese, a lot of cats are obese. And so you get these low protein diets or you get low caloric diets. That's you want to have something, so they don't lose a lot of muscle because that will slow the process. And then you'll have what I call skinny fat. They've lost all these calories, but and they're less fat, they're skinnier, but they lost so much muscle. That's really unhealthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As a rehab vet, there's a study out there that shows that dogs that were calorie restricted alone lost almost as much muscle as they did fat. And the dogs that were on calorie restriction plus exercise lost significantly more fat. So their numbers may not have been, right, because they maintain their muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. So they may not have lost as many pounds, but they lost more fat than the dogs that didn't have the exercise, right? The other thing I think about is muscle, again, is what burns up our glucose. The only organ that burns up more glucose is the brain, right? So if you're losing muscle and you're losing fat, when you get off your diet, what happens? You have less metabolism, you have less things to burn that glucose, that fat's more likely to come back. If you exercise and keep your muscle, right? So you have an exercise program and you're on the MYOS, you maintain that muscle so that when you get off your diet, you can continue to burn that fat and not put the fat right back on. So yeah, that's a great point.
It's so key. It's really key because you see people on Ozempic or on GLP-1 drugs, and it's great. It's healthy to lose all that weight, but they also look like they're losing a lot of muscle, and that's not great.
Right, right. All right, so last big question. What does a complete muscle health strategy look like?
Uh, Easy. Exercise, eat right, and when the time is right, uh, get on Fortetropin, get on MYOS canine, feline, equine muscle formula. Address your muscle, please, and personally address it and address it for your animals. It'll make a huge difference.
I agree. I agree 100%. Is there any other thoughts that you have that you would like to share with everybody listening?
The main thought is there's so many ways to research here about the importance of muscle. And when I got involved in this company 15 years ago, I became the CEO 10 years ago. I have a psychology degree and a finance background. That's what I did for 30 plus years. So I always worked out because that was just part of my lifestyle. I love that. But I really got taught about muscle. And getting into becoming the CEO, I've worked with muscle physiologists, and it's become so important part of my knowledge base, my life. So I think people should just really, really learn as much as they can. You mentioned Peter Attia, whoever it is. We have so many tools now where we can get information and ask questions. Really address your muscle and address your pet's muscle health.
Yeah, no, I listened to Peter Attia and Andrew Huberman, both Stanford doctors, Peter Attia being a cardiologist and Andrew Huberman being a neurobiologist, ophthalmologist. And they talk about health and the importance for humans, and they bring people in. And like you said, they talk about the importance of health and muscle. One of the things I love about Peter is that he talks about it's not a decathlon. It's basically, what do you want to be able to do in the last 10 years of your life? And then figuring out what you need to do, what you want to do, and the exercises you need to be able to do that to maintain it, knowing that if you wanted to be able to pick up a grandchild and put them up in the air, what do you have to do when you're 50 to be able to do that when you're 80? All right. And it's all about keeping your muscle and keeping healthy. And it's so very important.
I agree. And ask what you want your dog to be doing with you as they get older.
Zoomies at 16. That's what I told Sid. He just turned 9, and to brag just a little bit, he's one of few dogs in the world that can jump onto a round ball with no support and walk it forward and backwards, sideways in both directions, spin and twirl. And he can do things like, again, I'm a rehab vet and I love exercises. He can do sit up and bag and be able to jump with just his hind feet from the floor to the bed like 60 times in a row. He can put his back feet up on the wall. So my example of like burpees, He could put his back feet on the wall and then come down into a push-up and come back up and scrunch into the wall and come back. So yeah, I'm totally into exercising with your dog. So people, that is ninja exercises. Don't start there, right? But when you have the muscle, when you have the tools, and you have the desire and the drive to have a long, healthy life, it's certainly achievable. So this has been an incredible discussion. Today we've learned about longevity. It's not just about adding years to our life. It's about helping our pets remain active, engaged, mobile, and thriving throughout those later years. Muscle health may truly be one of the missing links in health aging. I know for me it's super, super important. And there's a ton of research, right? I'm a nerd. I love that there's research. And the research surrounds many things: exercise, eating right, nutrition, all of that, and Fortetropin. To me, MYOS is really opening up new possibilities for both veterinarians and pet parents alike to give better quality of life to the pets that we love and hold so dear. Joe, I want to give a special thanks to you. You're the CEO of
Thank you.
MYOS. You're sharing your expertise. Like you said, you've been doing this for like 15 years. You're learning, you're helping people understand it. Muscle plays such a critical role in health span. So, for my listeners, to learn more about today's discussion, please visit Canine Longevity's website. That's canine-longevity.com, and explore additional educational resources. If you want to learn more about MYOS and Fortetropin, visit their website at myospet.com. And for more insights on proactive veterinary care, healthy aging, rehabilitation, and integrative medicine, visit my website, optimumpetvitality.com. We have ongoing educational information for both professionals as well as pet parents. We have a new community called Pause and Purpose. We have short video clips in there. You can pick out what topics you want to learn about. You get to listen to me and my friends. And we have a community where like-minded pet parents can talk to each other and encourage each other. And I get in there too, obviously. And a once-a-month AMA, Ask Me Anything. Again, Peter T is one of my heroes. So I took it from him, where he has these monthly AMAs where people can write in or call in or talk to us through the community. And then once a month, we all get together and we chat about what people want to learn. And by people telling me what they want to learn, either I can answer it or I can bring friends in that can. So remember, people, it's not about just lifespan, though we want our pets to live forever. Like I said, I'm telling Sid he has to be 16. It's about health span. It's about quality of life. I'm Dr. Laurie McCauley. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you next time on Canine Longevity.
Good girl, Fachi.